Hello, vinyl community. So today we have E, which is for the Eagles. The 1976, this really is a masterpiece. 5-star Hotel California. You've got the band in the middle there. Don Henley, Glenn Frey, Randy Meisner, Don Felder on guitar, and Joe Walsh on guitar. So this was the powerhouse Eagles that had the 3 guitars. And we kick it off very strongly, the picture of the Beverly Hills Hotel there. Before I get into the music, let me just show you the packaging here, because it really is exquisite. You've got the Hotel California with the bellboy, very sort of 50s Art Deco, 30s, 50s Art Deco. Part of it was, interestingly, recorded in Miami, as well as, because Bill Szymczyk, the engineer, had a fear of earthquakes. Great label, matches it, right? See that with the Hotel California. On Geffen's Asylum Records, Geffen, of course, having signed Joni Mitchell and Crosby, Stills and Nash, and all those great songwriters of that time in the California. It's almost daunting to do this, because this is really, like I say, it's a 5-star album. One more thing with the album before we get into the music. Here's a nice poster. That's got the boys in a hotel in their white shirts. The Eagles at this time were, really popular, playing arenas. After one of these nights, they had catapulted into stardom. And with the addition of Joe Walsh on guitar, Bernie Leadon, who was in our last review, was on Flying Burrito Brothers. Bernie Leadon was in the Flying Burrito Brothers in the later apparition. He left, and they brought Walsh in. I have one more thing to show. This is really nice. The New York Times that I found in my copy. See, this is when you go hunting for albums, you find neat stuff like this sometimes. It's the original New York Times review of the album Dark Songs by California's Eagles by Penelope Ross in the New York Times. And it gives a nice breakdown of the Eagles, all the Eagles albums too, as well, if you can find that. So let's get into the music. Hotel California, New Kid in Town, Life in the Fast Lane, Wasted Time on the first side, Wasted Time Reprise, Victim of Love, Pretty Maids All in a Row, beautiful Joe Walsh ballad, Try and Love Again, and probably, next to Hotel California, I guess, my favorite song on the album is The Last Resort. Really, really good, deep song about the California mystique, and how the mystique and the magic can turn into the mess. I guess we all know. And of course, I've got my Hotel California T-shirt that I got on Sunset Boulevard, Eagles on today. How that can come tumbling down. You've got the fantastic title cut. You've got Life in the Fast Lane. Call the Doctor. I think I'm going to crash. I mean, there's drugs, there's the desert, there's the city, there's the New Kid in Town that was evidently written for Bruce Springsteen at that time. He was riding high in popularity in '76. And think of that time, it was the bicentennial. We were in between Nixon and Reagan, of course, the Carter, the Jerry Ford Carter years, post-Watergate, post-Vietnam, pre the rah-rah Reagan 80s, and crack and AIDS, and a country and young people trying to find themselves, trying to find an identity. And for the rockers in Southern California was a galvanizing place, much like San Francisco was in the 60s, or late 60s and the early 60s. probably England, and the Beatles. This week will be one of the anniversaries of, I guess, the 66th anniversary on Thursday, which is my birthday, of the Beatles on the Ed Sullivan Show, which was really the official pop culture launch. The albums were available, and of course we were buying 45s back then. I was on the line last night with Steve Westman, a big shout out to him, has a great audiophile channel, last night, and thinking about the first Beatles record that I bought, which was a 45 of P.S. I Love You. I have to look what it was backed by. I don't even know. I wish I still had that, but I have plenty of the vinyl still. But this is just really back to the Eagles. Interesting, I would think about the Beatles this week. And my son was talking to me about the other letters in alphabet earlier. Dylan said, Daddy, you're going to do the Beatles for B. And we'll find out, won't we? So we've got D next. And there's a D and the D band that I think will fit that niche really well. Want to do that. Rhymes with Eric. I'll give you a hint coming up. So vinyl community, that's pretty much it. Anything else I want to say? I mean, yeah, a couple of other things. Victim of Love was done live in the studio. There were a lot of overdubs on the rest of it, but it's seamless. It's a great sounding album. Seismic, their longtime mastering engineer, makes the Eagles sound like the Eagles. They come alive. The country rock, the crescendo, the use of the strings. It's it's a 5-star album. It's really, really great. The triple guitars with Felder. Felder is so strong on this, as is Walsh and Frey. And Felder even plays pedal steel on The Last Resort, that song that I mentioned. Really great stuff. Pretty Maids All in a Row, I mentioned. Victim of Love, Wasted Time, Life in the Fast Lane. I mean, there's no crappy songs on here. They're all strong. One is better than the other, and you may have different favorites as you go along. The artwork is exquisite. The packaging. They wanted to do a concept album. I guess it could be, maybe it's trite, but the Eagles, Sgt. Pepper's, they took the mantle in Southern California from the Beach Boys, I think, of being the reigning contemporary voice, right, of Southern California. And so Southern California, with Hollywood and the music industry and so much of our focus there, and surfer culture, and now we have Comic-Cons, right, and Disney and all that, the Eagles, and they had the Eagle, which is good for the bicentennial, but they've taken over the mantle to represent not only California, but so the country. And as we do now, we needed that then. We needed an identity. We needed something to feel proud of. And we needed something that we, as young people, could identify with. In 1976, I was, in college. I was 19 years old. So it was a galvanizing time. The first Eagles album, just talk a little about the Eagles, that I bought was On the Border. I love that record. It had a rock and roll lilt to it. I love the first album, but didn't buy it. It was On the Border that I got. And I really like that James Dean and Old 55, the Tom Waits cover, and of course the cover song, the title song, On the Border, which had the Bernie Leadon influence and the Burrito Brothers that we talked about last time. And the other thing I wanted to say is that as many of you know, I play guitar, and I love Take It Easy, Peaceful Easy Feeling. Those were two of the early songs that I used to play in the mid 70s. Always loved the Eagles, loved their songwriting, loved their sensibility, loved their partnership with Linda Ronstadt and Jackson Browne. And then I have not seen them live. I would like to. That's definitely on my to-do list. Got to get out and see them if I can. And of course, Glenn Frey passed away a couple of years ago, very tragically. And really, really talented dudes with great resumes. Randy Meisner, played in Poco, and Joe Walsh and the James Gang, and then Don Henley and Glenn Frey both being backup in Linda Ronstadt's band in the beginning, and then going off alpha males that they were. If you guys seen the history of the Eagles, that's a great one to watch. I think it's on most streaming services. Talk about their early days in alpha and going out and paving the way for a lot of people, as we did Crosby, Stills and Nash and Young, we were on a whole California theme here, and the Brito Brothers with Graham Parsons, who was buried out there in Joshua Tree. All right, I've gone over my allotted time. I'm rambling a little bit on a Sunday afternoon. Keep on rockin', vinyl community. Subscribe, comment, like if you like it. We will do the D and the D. I think you'll like that one. That's another big classic 5-star coming up. We're coming into a strong suit here as we finish out the alphabet. And then we'll figure out where the reviews are going from there. Have a great day. Keep on rocking. Doodah Dave signing out. Take care.